All right, and we are live. It is episode 4 of the Varsity podcast. Today is Tuesday, March 29th. So I didn't know if we'd make it this long, but episode 4, here we are. And NCAA basketball is kind of getting to an end, but it's been a decent tournament. Obviously, there have been some different storylines, one in particular that I'm still not huge on, that's still happening, and that's Duke. But we'll get right into that in a little bit. But let's get her going. We can start with the Sweet 16, which occurred over this weekend. Should we just kind of take it from top left? We'll start there.
Sure.
So Gonzaga, Arkansas was the first game. And Gonzaga, obviously the heavy favorite of this tournament, goes down. That was, I think, a little bit surprising, but gosh, the whole tournament, they just kind of seemed like they were a little off. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts?
I said it last week that I thought they were vulnerable after their round of 32 game. I didn't think they'd lose to Arkansas. I thought it would come against Duke or Texas Tech.
Yeah.
But they were vulnerable after their game against Memphis, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Adam, that was your champion. But, hey, you made it further than either of us.
Yeah. I thought Chet got called for some kind of bad fouls in that game, to be honest. I thought he kind of got the bad end of a whistle, but also Gonzaga is a team that can still win without him, in my opinion. So, it's not an excuse. But it's kind of a turning point because, he kind of – but I don't know. I mean, Arkansas played really well. They have a good team too. J.D. Note and Jalen Williams were very good. So
yeah, and they had back-to-back trips to the Elite Eight. So
I was rooting
program
for them
that
Duke,
maybe.
So.
What was that?
I was rooting for them against Duke.
Yeah, and they're a program that I think's kind of went under the radar the last couple of years, but they've got a solid program going over there, and obviously. They were the SEC school that made it the furthest in this tournament, which I don't think anyone really saw coming, but you got to give them respect. They played a good tournament.
Well, I'm sure they were a upset pick with Vermont. A lot of people picked Vermont, so.
Yeah, I
wanted
to, and I picked them to get upset last year, and I should have learned my lesson. But, they credit to them for getting to the Elite Eight, and we'll talk about their Elite Eight opponent, which was Duke. They beat Texas Tech in what was it was tough for a lot of Duke haters, because I think that was the game that a lot of people circled was maybe their best chance to lose, and they got it done. Obviously, we just talked about it, booked their trip to the Elite Eight, and now they're sitting in the Final Four. I don't know. How are we feeling about Duke? Do you think they're the team to beat right now?
It's rigged.
Yeah.
It is. I was going to throw it out there. I didn't want to go there, but I mean, Duke, North Carolina in the Final Four.
Can I just say,
interesting, Jim. Little interesting. I'm just going to say it.
Since Kentucky lost, have kind of been talking about this matchup being potential. I didn't think North Carolina would get past Kentucky, but I did have them in my Elite Eight. Once Kentucky went down, I'm like, I could see a path where this happens.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are. It could either be the perfect storybook ending for Coach K or a total nightmare to lose 2 huge games, his last home game and then his last game against North Carolina. That would be kind of cool. But, of course, if he does win it, it's going to suck for all Duke haters, which is pretty much like 90% of the nation, I feel like. Duke got it done. They're looking a lot more consistent than they've looked, I think, most of the year. That's the thing, though. They've been streaky. So maybe their hot streak dies off here. I don't know, but
their Elite Eight win was Coach K's 100th tournament win too. You know they had to get him to 100,
and they got him the most Final Four and the most Final Four appearances. I mean,
the scriptwriters are salivating right now, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They are a very talented team, so I don't want to take that away from them. But
we'll give them credit. But
it's very like picture perfect almost if you're Duke.
It is. It is.
I don't know, because now they can avenge that loss to North Carolina on their path to the title. Whatever. We'll see, because I do like the way North Carolina is playing, and we'll get into that now. So their first Sweet 16 matchup with UCLA, I think maybe surprised some people, because that was, once they got past Baylor, it was like, all right, now they got to play a team that was in the Final Four last year, and UCLA was looking pretty legit. And then North Carolina took care of them and continued to look really good, and they're just playing really good basketball right now. Made it to the Elite Eight. And then they played St. Peter's in the Elite Eight, who somehow beat Purdue. I don't know. I mean, that was a magical run they had. First 15 seed ever to get to the Elite Eight. FGCU got to the Sweet 16 before, but they took it up a notch, and then it all came crashing down against UNC. That was an ugly game. UNC, when they are playing their best basketball, they look super good, and they've been playing it most of the tournament, other than that second half against Baylor, but they were able to recover in overtime. I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on UNC, St. Peter's, anything from that region?
I was waiting for St. Peter's to lose, to be honest.
Yeah, you were kind of getting over it a little bit. Yeah,
not kind of, but like, it's a good story. They obviously won their games, but like, I just didn't think they had what it took to be.
Well, yeah. I said it last podcast, and it would come crashing down. I thought it was going to be against Purdue, but it ended up being against North Carolina. I mean, you can only keep it going for so long,
right?
But well, like they had only been down 6 at most throughout the entire tournament going into the UNC game, and then like once it was past 6, I figured they were in trouble because
0.
Yeah, it got past 6 like a couple minutes into the game too, and that was. I mean, they didn't have anyone to guard their. Armando Baycat had a 2020 game, so. Oh yeah, that was wild.
If you don't have anyone to guard him.
North Carolina, their starting 5 is very complete. They obviously have like no bench, but their starters, I feel like, can really compete. By the way, so I realized this weekend, I had said I had called Brady Manic last week Caleb Manic, and then I realized it's because they have Caleb Love. So I'm like, okay. It made me feel a little bit better, because I felt like an idiot after that. I'm like, that didn't, but okay. So I just want that clear. I got 2 names mixed up, but yeah, they're looking really good right now, and I kind of love them against Duke. We'll get into our Final Four preview, but I kind of love them against Duke, which scares me a little bit. But that's going to be one of the best basketball games of the year. All right, we'll move on to the other side. Arizona loses to Houston. That kind of caught me a little off guard. I mean, Houston they looked good, obviously, go and lose to Villanova in the Elite Eight, but they were one of those teams that the computers loved. Like Ken Pom had them 2, I think, behind Arizona. And they were a 5 seed that some people had actually losing in the first round, but they played a good tournament. They showed that they are, other than maybe Gonzaga, the best mid-major in the country, and have been the last few years. I don't know. I mean, that a lot of people were really high on Arizona. We had kind of, I think, talked about. Did we have that actually in our?
I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure Adam called Houston over Gonzaga.
I think so. I think we actually ended up putting that.
Because you did have Arizona. Oh, Arizona, not Gonzaga. My bad. Yeah.
Thought maybe I don't remember.
I thought you predicted Houston.
I think our second chance, we did have Houston, so we got that.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people were high on Arizona. We had seen they looked pretty vulnerable.
They don't play much defense, so
yeah, and it cost them. Houston won that one by 12. So yeah, I mean, credit to Houston. People were kind of low on them coming into the tournament. They beat some good teams and made it to the Elite Eight. Obviously, losing to Villanova, who beat Michigan. I think we were probably all ecstatic about that, and I'm sure a lot of people were, because some people just didn't think Michigan deserved anything because they shouldn't have made the tournament, and others just didn't like them because maybe their coach sucks. But either way, that kind of felt good. And then Villanova beats Houston, but Villanova might be in trouble in the Final Four. They lose their second leading scorer. I don't know. I mean, they're playing great basketball right now, so I still think they have a chance to win it all, but I don't know. We'll see. Anything on that region? What the South? That's the South. Any thoughts? Thoughts on Villanova? Do you like their chances?
Trouble. Losing Justin Moore hurts.
Yeah.
Nervous, but I mean, I had Villanova coming out of that region. I still trust them. So
fair enough. Yeah. All right. So moving to the Midwest, Kansas, Providence. So Providence finally went down. They are just a good basketball team, and I think I think the Sweet 16 was appropriate for their season. Like, I don't think they were like much better than that, but I think that was a good spot for them to they proved themselves that they were a good team. They weren't maybe one of the top teams, but they got things done, and all credit to them. Kansas is looking all right. I mean, they're in the Final Four. They haven't had like the toughest schedule, but here they are, and they played Miami, who beat Iowa State. Kind of uneventful region, I feel like. But the one interesting thing I thought was Miami scored. How many points did they score on Iowa State? Like a bunch. And the Iowa State defense was. It was like 70 something, wasn't it? Yeah, 76. 70 to 56. I mean, after watching Iowa State's defense, I was like, this could be a really low scoring game, but Miami's offense did well in that game, and then they played Kansas well for a while. We're up at half, and then just fell apart. It
was a disaster.
Yeah. And I mean, it makes sense. A lot of teams that usually kind of sneak their way into these later rounds, we saw it with St. Peter's, end up getting crushed by these teams that are a lot more legit. So Kansas makes it to the Final Four. They're in a decent position right now with Villanova banged up and Duke UNC. I feel like they're going to leave it all in that game. So I don't know. Jayhawks, the 1 year I didn't pick them, are in, I think, a really good spot. So anything you guys want to just discuss quick from either the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight? Or should we talk about our Final Four predictions? Final Four? All right. I mean, we'll start. Let's save Duke UNC talk for a second, and let's just go with Villanova, Kansas. We kind of alluded to it with Villanova maybe being in trouble with injuries. What are you guys thinking, though? I know, Beeve, you've been high on Villanova. Where you stand right now?
Not entirely confident. I mean, I had Villanova, Kansas in my bracket, and I had Villanova winning, so I'm going to stick with it.
All right.
But I'm not confident. Okay. But I have to stick with it. I can't just change now. I got to stick with it. But
yeah,
no, I'm not confident at all. But
I think it'll be a good game either way.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that you're sticking with it. Adam?
I think Kansas wins.
Kansas? I'm gonna agree with you there. I actually had Kansas in my championship, so I'm liking their odds, but Villanova's tough, man. So yeah, I'm going with the Jayhawks here. I don't know. I think it's going to be a really good game, honestly. I think when it all comes down to it, they were each the best team in their region. I know Tennessee was maybe the hottest team coming into the tournament in that region. And then Arizona, a lot of people liked because they had a really good year. But, I mean, Villanova's been such a solid program over the last 5+ years, 5-10 years now, that, they brought a really deep roster. So credit to those two teams. I think that side of the Final Four made a lot of sense. And Beeve, you called it perfectly. So credit to you. All right. anything else about that game? I think it's going to be a fun game.
All right, trusting Jay Wright to pull it out.
They play good defense.
They're very well coached. Yep. They're very well coached. Both teams are, although Kansas has gotten into some controversy with Bill Self, but we don't need to go into that. All right. Duke, North Carolina, maybe one of the most anticipated Final Four matchups I've ever witnessed. People are talking about it. Obviously, it's potential that it's Coach K's last game if he loses. No matter what, Coach K will be done next week, assuming he doesn't pull a Tom Brady. And he's getting his true rival. One of the best rivalries in all of sports is Duke, North Carolina basketball. And it's going to come down to Saturday night for a trip to the national title game. I talked about how I like North Carolina, but sometimes when you like a team a lot, like in a game, it's tough because you guys were talking about it. It seems almost rigged, and it's like this storybook ending for Coach K where he could get his revenge. I don't know. What are you guys thinking?
I don't want to sit here and say it's rigged. I don't want to be that guy.
Right.
But I'd probably take Duke.
I think Duke will probably win too. I mean, I like North Carolina too, Jim. But I
get
it. I liked Michigan State when they played Duke. I like Texas Tech. I've been doubting Duke the whole way. I don't know. They're good.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I've been like the opposite. I've been like, I've been thinking Duke could make a run for a while, and I liked all their matchups. I thought they would lose to Gonzaga. They obviously didn't play Gonzaga, so it worked out in their favor. But I've also been watching this matchup for the last 2 weeks unfold, and I'm like, if it could happen, I'm like, I don't want Duke to keep winning, but if they do, this would be the best way to end them possible. Like, if they lose to Texas Tech, it's like, okay, like, heck of a career, Coach K. Like, Texas Tech is a really good team. Like, if they lose to Arkansas, like, hey, nice, you made it to the Elite Eight. Now, if they lose to North Carolina, sure, you made it to the Final Four. Sure, North Carolina is playing better than maybe anyone in the country. But you lost to your arch rival twice in 2 games that were, like, very meaningful to end your career. I don't know. I'm picking UNC. It's 100% because I want them to win. But I believe that there's something about this UNC team that just, I mean, obviously they don't like Coach K. He's their arch rival. But I don't know. They stepped up once they played Duke at Duke on March 5th. That was, I think, their turning point for their season. And something about that game, obviously their ACC tournament performance wasn't great, but they probably didn't care. Maybe they wanted this. Maybe they foresaw this. I don't know, but I feel like they've circled Duke. I don't think – I'll get into the championship now unless you guys have anything else to say in this matchup. I don't think they'd have a chance.
I'm rooting for UNC. I
don't think the scriptwriters will let it happen, though.
Yeah, that's fair. But I think –
happened against the Badgers in 21-15. So
yeah,
I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, that one. If we're going to talk about a rigged game, I don't know. But either way, I think whichever team wins that game, because that game is going to have so much hype, is going to lose to the winner of Kansas Villanova. I personally think I'm going with Kansas now, but I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on the Natty title? So you guys both have Duke, and then Adam, you have Kansas. Beav, you have Villanova.
Yes, I'm not picking Duke. I will refuse.
Yeah.
All right.
If it's Villanova Duke, it's probably going to be Duke. But I mean, do I really think Villanova is going to beat Kansas? Probably not. If I'm like, I'm just sticking with my prediction from the beginning of the tournament. If I'm being like, I'm using. Right now, it's got to be Kansas Duke, and Kansas is going to win. That's my prediction.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I love it. we can be a Kansas podcast this weekend.
Yep.
Villanova
can win me some money with a win.
If Kansas does win, I'm going to be so mad at myself because I've picked them like 7 times in the last decade. But whatever. We'll see. Maybe Villanova or North Carolina will win. I'm not going to even give the idea of Duke winning. All right. Anything else from the men's tournament? We'll just kind of have to see how it all unfolds. I think it's going to be a very fun Final Four. I almost kind of like that there aren't any real Cinderellas. Obviously, North Carolina is an 8 seed, but they're a really good team. Just because it does make for some really good basketball. Obviously, it's fun when you have like a double-digit seed in the Final Four, but I think we're going to get some really good games this weekend. All right, you guys want to talk
Blue Bloods? Are we comfortable calling Villanova Blue Blood?
I would say they're modern-day Blue Blood.
Okay, that's fair.
I don't know.
How did Bo Borowski ref an Elite Eight game? I'm serious. He's the worst ref.
He stinks.
I've ever seen.
Potentially,
He stinks.
I don't know. I don't know how he still gets Badger games, so I don't know. Whatever, he's got somebody around his finger, and same way he gets like every Badger game ever is the way he gets Elite Eight games. I don't know. Yeah.
That's all. That's my only thing. We can move on now.
All right. We'll see if he's in the Final Four. I don't know if they've announced their officials yet.
He's in the Final Four. I might not watch.
That would be ridiculous.
I'll boycott. That's awful. I can ref better than he can.
Let's talk women's basketball. I am enjoying this tournament so much. I think there have been some really good basketball games. Ultimately, 3 1s and a 2 made it to the Final Four. That 2 being UConn, which is like the most dominant program in any sports history ever. Their women's program is so good. And they were the 2 that got in, and it took double overtime. But let's just kind of talk about did you guys catch any of the games over the last weekend?
Yeah. Some,
yeah.
The game last night was electric.
Yeah.
I know Paige took over.
Yeah. So she went off in overtime. Actually, in the second half too. I don't know, how many did she finish with? It was close to 30. I don't know if she was quite.
I checked in double overtime and she was at 27. I think
that's what she finished with.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, she had a monster finish to that game. And I mean, she was like maybe one of the most hype recruits of all time. And obviously this year she dealt with an injury. So it was like, that was a big part of why they were a 2 seed, but she showed last night, last night, why she was so like highly recruited and she's had so much media attention. But yeah, I mean, that was one of the most dominant takeovers, her performance late in that game, that I've ever seen from any basketball player. Like, she could barely miss. Like, I think she missed maybe 1 or 2 shots in like all of overtime, and she took quite a few, but rightfully so. I mean, she was not missing. That was a thriller game. NC State, just when you thought they were out of it, would hit a big shot. They had that corner 3, I think at the end of regular overtime.
Yeah.
The first overtime. Yeah, I mean.
That was a good play.
Yeah.
Good pass, too.
Yeah. Credit to NC State, though. It does suck that they were the 1 seed that got UConn, but
UConn, which is weird to me, which is very weird to me, that they were able to play at home.
Yeah, the Bridgeport region. It was the Bridgeport region, which is obviously in Connecticut. For those who don't know where Bridgeport is, I'm not saying you guys, maybe listeners, one Nicky Aiello or something, if he ends up listening to this one. Shout out to our number 1 fan. But yeah, very, very strange that
as a 2 seed, they're playing at home in the Elite Eight.
Yeah, it doesn't make a ton of sense how that, but I get it because they have to make regions where they know they're going to get fans. And the whole state of Connecticut is very behind that program just because of how dominant they've been. I'm sure if you had it closer to NC State, they probably would have drawn a pretty good crowd too.
Changes the outcome. It's just kind of unfortunate for NC
No,
State.
yeah, it is. It is 100% unfortunate, and yeah, that was a heck of a game. Credit to NC State because they had a great run. Although Notre Dame game, I think they got very lucky. I was watching that one intensely, but they pulled it off. So I should give them credit. It just hurt our podcast bracket. So I was definitely rooting for Notre Dame, which, by the way, was doing great. It faltered off a little, but we still have our championship matchup in play, which is UConn over Louisville. So we'll see where that one lands. It has definitely tapered off quite a bit. I think we're in like the 70 percentile now, somewhere in that range, because we only got 2 Final Four, because most people that don't follow women's basketball as much as us just put all 1 seeds and maybe threw UConn in, so a lot of people got the Final Four right. But you can't – I mean, that's boring. We had to mix it up a little bit. Yeah, so that's where we're sitting on that. So Stanford – made it in the Final Four. I didn't catch their game, but they won it all last year, and I watched them play last year a couple of times. It's a good team. They're gonna give UConn a run for their money. I think UConn is opening at like a 1.5 point favorite, but a lot of people I've heard are taking Stanford there just because I think Stanford is kind of proving themselves. Obviously, UConn is a program that has continued to prove themselves, but we'll see. That'll be a good game. And then the other side, South Carolina, the overall 1 seed, will play Louisville. South Carolina is like an 8-point favorite in that game, which, I mean, I get it. South Carolina's been super dominant this year, and they crushed Creighton in the Elite Eight. They won by like 30. I don't know. I'm very high on Louisville. I have been. I'm a Louisville rider. So, yeah. Haley Van Lith is killing it in this tournament, by the way. 20 points in every game of this tournament. First Louisville player ever to score 20-plus in 4 straight NCAA tournament games. I mean, that's domination. She got off to a slower start to start this season, but, I mean, she's just been killing it as of late. That team is – they've got a lot of really good players, but the one factor that people are talking about and the reason South Carolina is a heavy favorite, Louisville has nobody over 6'5", and South Carolina's got a big size advantage. So we'll see. I am going to officially say it on this podcast. I'm talking a lot right now. I apologize, but I am game of the yearing Louisville +8. Just putting that out there right now. I've done a game of the century. I did a couple weeks ago. What did I even do? I don't remember what my game of the century is. Hit it. And then I did a back of the century. I backed somebody's game of the year, or not of the century, of the year, back of the year. I backed somebody's game of the year. It hit 1-0 in both those categories. This is my first game of the year, and I love it. I love it. So I don't know. But I'm not saying they're going to win. I want them to win, but I'm not saying that. I'm just saying they're going to cover. All right, thoughts on that? Because I just talked a lot, and I apologize.
I mean, yeah, I think Louisville can make it a different game than 8 point +8, but
yeah, because Van Lith is going to drop 20 plus again. I mean, that's a lock. I don't know.
I'm going UConn.
Winning. I mean, I think we have to go UConn over Louisville. That's what we did in our bracket, and I mean, maybe South Carolina looks, but I feel like we have it there. Everything else is lined up decently for us. Why not keep it rolling? And yeah, I think that'd be a fun matchup. People are talking. It's the Jalen Suggs Final Four because Van Lith is his ex-girlfriend, is what people are saying, and Paige Beckers is like a childhood friend of his. They're both, I don't know how long they go back, but they're both from Minneapolis area, and it's in Minneapolis, so that would be a crazy matchup if it did happen. And I do think they are Beckers and Van Lith. I think they're like good friends. Not 100% sure because they were both like the two most hyped up prospects coming into last year when they came into the league. But yeah, I think that would be a really fun matchup. Obviously, the thing I love about women's college basketball is you play your 4 years, so we could potentially see this matchup for the next couple of years. I don't know, but yeah. Well, okay. Just noticed, by the way, we have a live viewer. I think that's the first time that's ever happened. So if you are listening, hello. Yeah. All right. Cool. Didn't expect that. All right. Anything else you guys want to talk about, or should we just go to other topics? All right. NC State baseball. Boys, we're back.
5-0. 5-0 since we met last, Jim.
And by the way, they weren't easy games, too. Who did they play that was ranked? Was it like Arkansas or someone?
Georgia Tech, I think.
Georgia Tech. And they were ranked something, 16?
Something.
I don't know. I looked at it like 2 days ago.
Something.
Did they win tonight? Because they played today, right?
Well, last time I checked, I didn't see anything. I just know they won 5 times since he.
So that I think they were 4-0. So I think that was probably their 5th win, which is awesome. Yeah, NC State baseball killing it. They are now 16 and they were 15-8. So they won today, 2-0 against East Carolina. Yep. Solid. Georgia Tech's 12th, and they swept them. That's awesome. Hey, maybe things are turning around. I like their schedule from here on out. I'm not seeing like any ranked teams at all until the ACC championship. So obviously you're not going to probably go undefeated in that time, but they could have a very favorable record. Yeah. Once this basketball season is done, I'm going to actually like look at the stats, maybe try to watch a game or two live, but and we lost our viewer. Which
I mean,
they'll come back. They're like, I don't need to watch it live.
I mean, sweeping Georgia Tech. I mean, it's probably NC State, Florida State, and Notre Dame for the ACC.
Yeah, so I couldn't tell you, but it sounds good to me.
Yep, sure does.
All right. Anything else with NC State baseball? They're hot. We needed that. That was huge.
Yep.
Once we picked them, they kind of were looking shaky there for a little bit. All right. That's basically it. I know we've talked about maybe bringing in some stories. Frozen 4. Beav, you're a hockey guy. Anything to talk about there?
Frozen 4 is set. That'll be played next weekend. We got Minnesota, Michigan, Denver, and Minnesota State.
Okay.
But I mean, one of the stories from college. What's up, Jim?
Oh, I was just going to
So one of the stories.
My
ask me, Jim.
Just go. Just speak.
Ask me, Jim.
I was just going to say.
Okay, God damn it.
We're good. We're good. It's fun. Bloopers are fun, especially when we're live and we don't make any edits. It's difficult because there's a sound delay. I was just going to ask you, though. We had talked about this before the podcast, but I thought you should bring this up. Top offense plays top defense. What happened?
Top offense wins.
Top offense wins. 7-4.
Michigan put up 7 goals on Quinnipiac.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all right. So what I was going to say, one of the big topics in college hockey is like regional final locations.
Okay.
So I've seen a lot of people throwing around the idea of maybe the top seed hosting the regional games, kind of like what women's college basketball does with the first couple rounds.
Okay.
Because Minnesota and Western Michigan played their regional final in Worcester, Massachusetts. And just no fans travel.
Yeah,
I mean, the arena was empty. It's a regional final,
and I was watching that. I caught the third period of that, and
there was a bit over 2,000 people there. I think.
Yeah,
there were over 2,000 people. Where Minnesota's the highest, or no, they weren't the highest seed in that region. Minnesota State was, but anyways, if Minnesota State's hosting that, you're getting more than 2,800 people at the arena. I mean, assuming Minnesota's a high seed, Minnesota seats 10,000 people. You'd fill the barn if Minnesota's in a regional final.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Yeah, college hockey has a real bad attendance issue, I guess, with their regional games. The Frozen Four should be pretty packed playing in Boston. But I don't know. That's just something I've seen people throwing out there is maybe the top seed should be able to host. And it would really just help viewership, and it would help programs like Western Michigan, who was a 3 seed overall. They would get to host. It helps grow programs.
Yeah, so, I like that. All right. I anything else?
Yeah, most
that's pretty good. Any other stories?
No, not really.
A bunch of people in the transfer portal.
Yeah,
like a bunch, a lot. I don't know the exact number.
Okay, is it like a higher than normal type thing?
I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Any names to look out for any? I don't know.
Andre Corbello. Yeah, he's in the portal. Adam Miller played at Illinois 2 years ago. Then he transferred to LSU. He's back in the portal.
That's becoming a common theme. Guys are transferring once, twice, and now with that extra year, sometimes 3 times.
There's a big guy out west. I think it was Utah State. He averaged like 19 and 14.
Okay.
He's transferring. He's got a lot of interest. Yeah, there's more and more people in every day, so.
Yeah, I have a piggyback off that. My story I was going to share actually is about the transfer portal. 2 huge names, 2 huge NIL names are in the transfer portal. The Cavender twins are transferring from Fresno State.
Huh?
So, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know if they're looking just to be on a more competitive team. Obviously, Fresno State was really good their first 2 years. Last year, they stumbled a little bit, but it'll be interesting. Maybe they're looking to go to a Power 6 conference. I don't know, but just something to look out for, especially because they have kind of dominated the NIL game. And so maybe they're going to go that. I think it was said that it wasn't NIL related, but I think it could make a difference. So who knows? I don't know. I got nothing else to talk about. Figured it would be a shorter episode just because less bulk content like we have had with the NCAA tournament. Yeah. Anything else?
LSU gymnastics regionals on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm-hmm. Very good. Mm-hmm. See, that's the kind of story we were looking for.
Yep, you're damn right.
Mm-hmm. You have to fill us in. So we're going to go probably Tuesday again next week. We've just been doing that because there's been basketball games on Mondays. But fill us in on Tuesday with how that goes. Wait. Oh,
absolutely.
So regional. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
And the regional final will be on Saturday, so we'll know if they're going to the national semifinals by then.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Very good. Mm-hmm. Very good. Love it. All right. So
very excited.
Like the Sweet 16.
Yes.
Love it. Okay.
Yep. Awesome.
I'm just trying to think. All right. So, yeah, next week, Tuesday, probably be somewhat of a shorter episode again. We'll be recapping the Final Fours, talking LSU gymnastics, I guess, would be NC State baseball.
Yep.
Nothing too crazy. And then once we get to the off season, we might do a couple episodes and then maybe take a break till it gets closer to football season. I don't know, but we'll come up with some things. Yeah, I don't know. I actually kind of like this episode, especially the little hockey miscommunication there when
that's funny.
I think our mics were just
my mic's lagging.
But
my mic has like a 2-second lag on it.
Yeah, it's no worries, but I think that'll make it more exciting.
It sure will.
I think sometimes we have to bring a little edge to the podcast, but I don't know. That's episode 4. Oh, we did that draft before the tournament. I was tallying points. Beav, you're the only one without a Final Four team.
Fuck off. Oh, sorry, Devin.
Okay, love that.
Sorry.
The field has Duke. Adam has Villanova. I have Kansas and North Carolina. I was looking at it. I mean, we drafted. So I was looking at it, and Adam, you can win if Villanova beats Duke in the final. You would win outright.
Let's go Nova.
We would tie if Nova wins at all. So if they beat North Carolina, and then any other result, I would win. The field cannot win because the field is 5 points behind me, and they can only get 4 more points. What did you say?
I asked, how do I win?
You win if they decide to restart the tournament, and then all your teams play better.
Awesome. Let's do that.
You have clinched last place.
Sweet. Did I even lose to the field?
Yeah, you lost to the field. And
that's freaking embarrassing.
If Duke goes on to win, you will lose to the field by a lot.
That's awful. That's awful.
But it was an unpredictable tournament.
It sure was.
So we'll go with that.
St. Peter's to the Elite Eight. Unreal.
That was your farthest team, by the way.
Oh, I had them? Oh, that's even worse. That's bad.
St. Peter's was the team that made it the furthest for you. You had Gonzaga, to be fair.
Terrible.
You had Gonzaga. Okay. So, like, you kind of, I mean, you got unlucky because that was a really good team to have. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a real shame. Right. That's a real shame.
That's it. I think this might have been one of our more entertaining, especially with now that last part. But anyway, we'll see you guys for episode 5. Yeah. Anything else? All right. Thanks for tuning in. And shout out to the one live viewer we had this week. All right.
And shout out to
a wrap.
Yep.